Hello YouTube, sun's out, guns out. Welcome back to the channel. We got a very windy day here on the range, so we're just gonna make the best of windy conditions and hopefully you can hear me. I'd like to talk to you briefly about Springfield XD pistols and why you probably shouldn't buy one. I'm not going to tell you what to do, and there are good reasons to buy Springfield XDs. I certainly wouldn't say that they're bad pistols, but I'll try to be brief since it's kind of a chilly, windy day here. These pistols are made in Croatia. It's hard to get any kind of accurate statistics on them because the only people who would compile those would be Springfield, and they're not going to release the information. So we have to rely on anecdotal evidence. But hearing from people online and hearing from people who run classes and who go to classes and who see these pistols go through, maybe several hundred rounds in a weekend and see them start to fail as a result. Lots of the XDs, at least based on anecdotal evidence, are failing when they get to a high round count. Now, I'm not suggesting that they fail right away, but they're failing if you shoot them a lot. So if you're somebody who's looking to buy a pistol and maybe put a box or two of ammo through it to make sure it works, and maybe take it to the range once a year, put a box through it, well, an XD might be a fine choice for you because it's probably going to hold up a very long time. But if you're wanting to shoot your pistol regularly and maybe put a couple boxes a month through it, I think you may find that in a year or in a couple of years, you may start to have some problems with an XD. The XDS pistols anecdotally seem to have the worst problems, but any of the XDs suffer from a lot of small parts breakage, from what I understand. And with some pistols, you could stay ahead of that. You could keep some small parts on hand, so if something breaks, you can replace it. Or you could replace it before it breaks. You could decide every few thousand rounds, whatever, I'm going to replace the extractor, the striker, the ejector, whatever. I'm going to replace these small parts. The problem is Springfield, there's only one source for parts, one of which I'm aware. I've never heard of another source for parts other than HS Product, and Springfield has an exclusive contract to import their stuff into the country. So that means Springfield is the only source for parts if you're in the US. And Springfield will not sell you parts. They will not release those parts. If you call Springfield and say you want parts for your pistol, they'll say, oh, if something's broken, send it in. And you say, well, nothing broke, I want spare parts. They say, well, when it breaks, send it in. And they're very good about repairing these things quickly, but it doesn't change the fact that your pistol's broken. You can't use it until they repair it. And you can't prevent it from breaking, except by not shooting it. So that puts the user in a difficult position. If you want to carry this pistol and rely on it or take it to competition, whatever, you run the risk every time you shoot it that something's going to break, and then, well, now I can't finish the match, or worse, now I can't finish the gunfight. And so that's an enormous problem for Springfield customers if they shoot their pistols a lot. Now, again, if you're a person who doesn't shoot a lot, it maybe doesn't matter so much. Springfield is good about offering warranty service, but I don't know if they will continue to do that in the future. We can't tell. They're good about turning these things around quickly and getting them back to you, but you're still without the working pistol while they're getting it back to you. And depending on where you are in the country, it may be difficult, or in the world, it may be difficult to ship the pistol back to them, especially across international borders, and get it returned to you. But the big problem is frequently parts break, and there doesn't seem to be any way to prevent it, and there doesn't seem to be any way to get the pistol repaired again quickly, as in the same day, and there's no way to have spare parts on hand. So it's a giant pain for people who want to buy a pistol and shoot it very much. Another problem is the grip safety. The XD models tend to have a grip safety, and at least on the originals, I think it's true of all of them, you can't even cycle the slide without depressing the grip safety. The grip safety is one of the parts that I understand breaks pretty frequently. And so once the grip safety is broken, not only can you not fire the pistol, you can't even clear it. You can't even get the cartridge out of the gun. You also can't disassemble it. So you have a loaded gun that can't possibly be unloaded, and how do you ship it back for repair? I know that Springfield has had to deal with those before. I don't know how they deal with that. But to my mind, for the most part, dealing with XD is just not worth doing when there are so many other good pistols on the market. I do own a couple of XDs. I should have brought one out of the safe for this video, but I didn't want to dig one out. and you can, I mean, everybody knows what an XD looks like. You don't need me to show you. But I would be reluctant to buy an XD and shoot it a lot, rely on it for defense, rely on it for competition, anything like that. Some people dislike Springfield as a company. I don't. I understand why some people do. I don't mind them so much as a company, and I am willing to buy their products. But that particular product, I would be reluctant to buy an XD for the reasons that I've said. And I hope that they will correct those problems, either make parts available or lean on HS product to make a product that doesn't fail so frequently, because so many of their small parts break, from what I understand. Some people have complained that the magazines get deformed when they get older and they have a high round count through them. But number one, even the people who complain about that, as near as I can tell, they don't say the magazines quit working. They just say, oh, my magazine kind of looks rough and I can tell it's becoming misshapen and becoming deformed, but apparently it still works. And you can buy magazines. They'll sell you magazines. So if every few thousand rounds you want to toss your magazines and replace them to make sure they keep working, you're fine. But it's those other parts that break and that Springfield will not provide. So anyway, that's food for thought before you buy an XD. And again, I'm not saying not to. The triggers are very crisp on the XDMs, and I like them. The triggers are sort of long and smooth, almost like a double-action revolver trigger on the original XDs, and I like those too. I like both of them. I think they have some great features. I enjoy shooting them. But having said all that, I would be reluctant to rely on one for defense or in a competition, because based on anecdotal evidence, they fail so frequently and there's no way to prevent it. You can't keep spare parts around. You can't replace parts before they break. You're just kind of stuck at the whim of Springfield. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to me today. I am not seated on the bench of truth, and I am not seated at the picnic table of wisdom. I am instead on the seat of knowledge here at the shooting bench of consumer complaints. Keep your powder dry.